We've been looking through a stack of sources today, focusing on that attack on two Minnesota lawmakers over the weekend.
Yeah, a really disturbing event.
Absolutely. Our mission here is really just to unpack everything the sources are telling us, the facts, the details police have shared, the ongoing situation, just to give you the clearest picture possible based on what's reported.
Exactly. We're aiming to pull out the key pieces, the timeline, what's known about the suspect, the investigation scope, basically helping you get up to speed on what the sources say.
It is a serious topic, obviously involves violence, loss, but our goal is just to guide you through the facts as reported so you're informed without getting, bogged down. Okay, let's get into it.
Okay, so the sources are reporting that on Saturday, two Minnesota state lawmakers were attacked.
In their homes.
In their homes, yeah. And Governor Tim Walz apparently called it a politically motivated assassination attempt. Strong words, very strong. And these attacks, tragically, resulted in one politician killed, the other seriously injured, both Democrats, the sources confirm.
And the sources identify the victims.
Yes. State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark were killed in their home. She'd served, I think, 20 years in the House.
20 years, yeah. And was Speaker from 2019 to 25?
Long tenure.
A very long tenure. Then there's State Senator John Hoffman and his wife, Yvette. They were shot multiple times.
But they survived.
They survived, yes. Underwent surgery, according to reports.
Okay, and the timing on this. It was early Saturday morning.
That's right, early hours. The sources pinpoint the locations to Brooklyn Park and Champlin, Minnesota. Law enforcement confirmed these events took place.
So how did it unfold, according to the reports?
Well, police got a call about an incident at Senator Hoffman's place in Champlin first. That was around 2:00 a.m. local time.
Then about an hour and a half goes by. It's 3:45 a.m. And another call comes in, but this time it's related to Representative Hortman's home nearby in Brooklyn Park. Officers were actually already heading there to check on her.
Right. Because of the first incident, they were checking on other officials.
Seems likely, though the sources don't explicitly connect those dots. But here's where it gets really chilling.
Okay.
When officers got to the Hortman home, they found what looked like an emergency vehicle parked right there. Lights flashing.
An emergency vehicle, like an ambulance or?
The reports don't specify the exact type, just emergency vehicle. And then someone comes out of the house resembling a police officer.
Resembling one, not an actual officer.
Apparently not. Because according to the sources, this person immediately opened fire on the police who just arrived.
Wow.
Then ducked back inside the house and managed to escape on foot.
In the description, this person looked like an officer.
That's what the police officials stated, according to the sources. They specifically said the suspect was, quote, wearing a vest with a taser, other equipment, a badge.
So basically disguised as law enforcement.
Exactly. The official said it seemed like a way to, quote, manipulate their way into the home.
That detail, the disguise, that's incredibly disturbing. It adds a whole other layer.
It really does. So that brings us to the suspect. Police are looking for one person.
And they have identified him.
Yes. The sources name him as 57-year-old Vance Luther Boelter. And as of Sunday night, reports indicated he was still at large.
Okay, Vance Luther Boelter. What else do the sources say about him, his background?
Well, there are a few threads. He's apparently a former political appointee, and he was once on the same state workforce development board as Senator Hoffman, one of the victims.
Oh, interesting. So they knew each other.
That's the unclear part. Investigators, according to the reports, aren't sure about the nature of their relationship or even if they really knew each other personally, despite being on that board together.
Okay. So a potential connection, but maybe not a strong one. What about motive? The governor mentioned politically motivated.
Right, that's the term he used. Investigators, though, reportedly found something significant. A list. In a vehicle the suspect drove.
A list of what?
Of targets. Reportedly 70 of them.
70 targets. Who was on it?
According to media cited in the sources, it included prominent state Democratic politicians.
Like who?
Names mentioned are Governor Tim Walz, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, Senators Amy Klobuchar and Tina Smith, and the state AG Keith Ellison.
Wow, all major figures. Anything else on the list?
Yeah, the sources say locations for Planned Parenthood were also included. That detail came from someone familiar with the investigation.
But they weren't calling it a manifesto.
No, explicitly not. A police official was quoted making that distinction. Said he would not describe the notebook found as a manifesto. It wasn't, in his words, a treatise on all kinds of ideology and writings.
Okay, that feels like an important clarification based on the reporting. It suggests maybe More of a hit list than an ideological dump.
It leans that way. Based on that official's quote, yes. Less about philosophy, perhaps more about action. Now, digging into his background a bit more from the sources.
Yeah, what else is there?
He's described as a security contractor, also a religious missionary, apparently worked in Africa and the Middle East. An online CV seems to back this up.
A security contractor and a missionary. That's quite a combination.
It is. There are apparently Facebook photos of him preaching as a pastor in the Democratic Republic of Congo. LinkedIn suggests frequent travel there.
And family.
An online video, a couple of years old, reportedly shows him addressing a congregation. In it, he mentions having a wife and 5 children.
Okay. What about work back in Minnesota?
His online profile, according to the sources, lists jobs with a big food distributor, a convenience store chain, and also 2 funeral service businesses.
So, a pretty varied employment history.
Seems so. And interestingly, his criminal record in Minnesota,
What about it?
only minor stuff. Traffic tickets, speeding, parking violations, nothing that would seem to foreshadow this level of violence based on the sources.
Right, not the profile you'd immediately expect.
Definitely not. And then there's this quite troubling detail. A text message.
What did it say?
He reportedly sent it to friends at a place he rented a room in Minneapolis. It read, I'm going to be gone for a while, maybe dead shortly, so I just want to let you know I love you guys both, and I wish it hadn't gone this way.
Oh, wow. That sounds incredibly ominous, almost like a final message.
And it certainly has that feel, doesn't it?
Essay.
So that leads into the manhunt.
Which is still ongoing.
As of Sunday evening, yes.
Yeah.
Entering its 3rd day, police said they'd received about 400 tips.
400. Any breakthroughs mentioned?
The sources didn't suggest anything imminent, unfortunately. Just a lot of leads to follow up on.
And the search area?
It's widened, expanded over state lines, reportedly into South Dakota. Hundreds of officers involved.
And the FBI.
They've stepped in. Added Boelter to their most wanted list, offering a $50,000 reward for information.
Have they found anything significant during the search?
A couple of things mentioned in the reports. On Sunday, they found an empty car linked to him. This was in Sibley County, about 50 miles from the Hortman home.
An empty car. Anything else?
Nearby, on a road, they found a cowboy hat, apparently similar to one Boelter was thought to wear.
Small clues. What about his family? You mentioned a wife and kids.
Right. Well, the sources reported his wife was actually detained.
Detained when?
Saturday morning, in a traffic stop. She was with 3 relatives in a car in Onamia, which is like over 100 miles from their family home.
And what happened?
They were questioned and reportedly released. No charges mentioned in the sources.
Okay. A lot of moving parts in this investigation. What about reactions to the attacks themselves?
As you'd expect, widespread condemnation. Sources noted it came from across the political spectrum.
Any specific examples?
Yeah, President Donald Trump was quoted. He said, "Such horrific violence will not be tolerated."
And Senator Klobuchar, she was on that reported list.
She was. She reportedly called the attack an attack on everything we stand for as a democracy.
So let's try to pull this all together. What are the key takeaways from the sources we've looked at?
Well, you have this incredibly violent, apparently calculated attack.
Yeah.
Targeting elected officials in their homes.
Right. The home invasion aspect is significant. And a suspect identified but still on the run.
And then you have these really disturbing pieces of evidence emerging that potential target list with 70 names.
Which are to be names, yeah.
And that method of entry, posing as law enforcement, using a disguise. That seems absolutely crucial.
It really speaks to premeditation, doesn't it?
It certainly suggests a level of planning, yes. And this whole situation is, as laid out in the sources, it really highlights the vulnerabilities public figures can face and the chilling potential for violence driven by, well, the motive isn't confirmed, but the target list suggests potential political dimensions alongside whatever personal factors might be involved. That disguise element really raises security questions too.
Absolutely. So you've got the facts as reported now, the victims, the timeline where it happened, that police impersonation detail, the names reportedly on the list, the suspect's background, the manhunt status, all drawn straight from the sources we reviewed.
Yeah, we've tried to walk you through what these reports are telling us about this really complex and tragic event. From the attacks themselves to what investigators reportedly found and where the search stands now.
It definitely gives you a lot to process. And as you think about this, consider those different layers the sources reveal, you know, the awful personal tragedy for these families.
Right.
But also the broader scope implied by that target list and just how disturbing the reported methods were. using trust like a uniform as a weapon.
It's that element of deception, using the appearance of safety to inflict harm, that really stands out from the reporting. Something to really consider.